When my appendix bursts, my parents, my brother, and even my fiancé are all too busy celebrating my sister's birthday. I'm outside the operating room, frantically calling every family member I can think of to sign the consent form, but every call is either ignored or hung up on. After hanging up on me, my fiancé, Joel Graham, texts back, "Sophie, stop being dramatic. It's Yvette's 18th birthday today. Whatever it is can wait until after the party." I quietly set my phone down and sign the consent form myself. It's the 99th time they've chosen Yvette Norton, my sister, over me. This time, I choose not to care. I'll stop letting their favoritism hurt me. Instead, I'll do everything they ask of me without complaint. They'll all think I've finally learned to be obedient, and they'll never realize that I'm preparing to leave them for good. I stayed in the hospital for 3 days, and for those 3 days, my phone stayed silent. I didn't receive a single call from my family. I didn't call anyone either. I didn't scroll through their Instagram feeds like I used to, trying to keep up with every little update in their lives. Instead, I just quietly rested in my hospital bed and dragged my weak body around for checkups and payments. Even on the day I was discharged, I didn't tell a soul. I simply packed my own things, endured the pain in my abdomen, and slowly made my way home. When I pushed the door open, the laughter inside the house abruptly stopped. Everyone was gathered in the living room. My fiancé, Joel, was sitting beside Yvette with his arm casually draped around her shoulders. The moment he saw me, he pulled his hand back and gave me an awkward smile. "Soph, you're back? Where have you been these past few days?" My brother, Joshua Norton, let out a cold snort. Where else would she have gone to? She just didn't want to show up to Yvette's birthday party. She always has to ruin things for her, since she can't stand seeing Vivi happy. I didn't say a word. I just headed straight for my room. Joshua seemed surprised that I didn't argue with him. Normally, whenever he accused me of being selfish, I would break down in tears and desperately defend myself. But this time, I kept quiet. My mom rushed over to me with a glass of juice. "Sophia, we were so busy with Vivi's birthday the other day that we missed your calls. Don't be mad at us, okay?" She placed a glass of mango juice in my hand. Although my heart had long since stopped expecting anything, it still ached faintly. I was allergic to mangoes, but Yvette loved them. There was always mango-flavored food and drinks in the house because of that. But no matter how many times I reminded them, no one ever remembered that I couldn't have mangoes. I handed the glass back to Mom and quietly stepped back. "I'm not mad. I'll just go to my room." Just as I turned around, a loud noise came from the living room. Dad abruptly stood up and slammed his hand on the table. He screamed, "Why have you been walking around with that sour face ever since you came in? Your mother already apologized and even gave you your favorite drink. What's with that attitude? It looks like we've spoiled you too much." My heart twisted and even breathing hurt. Tears blurred my vision, but I still lifted the glass from Mom's hand and drank it all in one go. I then gently set the empty glass down and wiped away my tears. I calmly looked at Dad. "Yvette's the one who likes mangoes. I'm allergic to them, but it doesn't matter. I already drank it all. Can I go to my room now?" "Sophia, why didn't you say something earlier if you were allergic to it? Who told you to drink it? You're so stubborn." Mom panicked and quickly patted my back. Dad looked embarrassed, but he still harshly replied, "You could have just explained yourself. You've always had that unlikable attitude. You're nothing like Vivi. She knows how to communicate." Yvette's voice drifted over from the couch. "Dad, don't say that about Sophia. You'll make her sad." She sounded gentle, but the smugness in her eyes was impossible to hide. Yvette had always used my dullness to highlight her perfection. No matter what it was, she loved comparing herself to me. She would only be satisfied when she got to trample me. I should have felt hurt, but my heart only felt numb. Even when faced with such humiliation, I felt no emotions anymore. "I'm sorry," I said. "It won't happen again." The moment the words left my mouth, everyone in the room stared at me in shock. My obedience caught everyone off guard. After a brief silence, Dad finally said, "That's more like it. We're family. There's nothing we can't talk about. I only say these things for your own good." "Yeah, I know. I obediently nodded with a numb smile fixed on my face. Upon seeing that I wasn't upset, they relaxed and returned to the living room with Yvette. I paused for a moment, then continued up the stairs toward my room, but just as I stepped onto the staircase, someone grabbed my wrist. Joel had come up beside me without my noticing. He leaned in close and whispered, "Are you really not angry?" His gentle tone made my eyes sting all over again. I felt a rush of grievance rise in my chest, but I could only shake my head. My throat tightened, and I couldn't utter a single word. Joel, however, looked relieved. "I knew you'd be the sensible one. You never get upset over the little things. Actually, there's something I wanted to talk to you about." He turned his head away, avoiding my eyes. "We should postpone the wedding next week. I promised your sister that I'd take her to see the Northern Lights at Aurora Bay once she turns 18. Now that her birthday's over, she won't stop begging me to keep my promise. So, I thought, why not take the whole family along for a trip? What do you think? The invitations haven't gone out yet. It's just a wedding, so pushing it back a few days won't matter," he said with a faint smile and a hint of affection in his eyes. My heart went cold. The tears I had just shed out of gratitude suddenly felt ridiculous. After being abandoned 99 times, why would I still expect any love from them? When I didn't respond, Joel impatiently scratched his head. "Come on, sophomore Yvette's never been abroad before. It's her first time going somewhere that far. As her family, we should be there for her. Besides, you've never seen the Northern Lights either. Think of it as an early honeymoon." "Sure," I replied. Joel blinked, taken aback. "What did you say?" I let out a long breath and calmly said, I agree to cancel the wedding." "Cancel?" "No one's canceling anything. I said postpone. We can't just cancel the wedding." He corrected me with a frown on his face. I lowered my head. A faint, bitter smile tugged at my lips. Was there really a difference? As long as Yvette was around, she would never let our wedding happen. She couldn't stand me, and she coveted everything I had. I had known that since we were children. No matter how hard I fought, I could never win. My family's favoritism was her greatest weapon, and it was the reason she could keep me under her heel all these years. Now even my fiancé had joined her side. My eyes burned, and a familiar itch started to spread across my skin. The mango juice was finally taking effect. I nodded lightly and turned to go upstairs. There was allergy medication in my room, and I needed to take them before the reaction got worse. "Are you upset because I'm going to Aurora Bay with Joel?" Yvette's voice came from behind me, dripping with false innocence. I ignored her and kept walking. Yvette had always been that way. Even if I did nothing, all she had to do was cry or pout in front of our family, and everyone would rush to defend her. Joshua was the first to lose his temper. "That's enough, sophomore. Didn't you hear Vivi talking to you? One moment you say you're not angry, and at the next you're giving everyone an attitude. Is this how you treat your family?" I didn't answer him. Such baseless accusations had filled my entire childhood, and I'd long since learned to face them without showing any emotion. But just as I set foot on the second-floor landing, a sharp pain shot through my scalp. Someone had yanked my hair from behind. Joshua yanked my hair so hard that I stumbled down the stairs. "Vivi's an adult now. You can't just ignore her feelings like you used to." I fell to the floor, and pain shot through both my knees. Joel frowned. "Soph, I was the one who decided to the wedding. It had nothing to do with Yvette. If you're upset, take it out on me. Just don't make her feel bad." As I lay curled up on the floor, I couldn't tell whether the pain in my chest or in my knees hurt more. "Don't be mad at Sophia," Yvette said, wiping the corners of her eyes. "It's all my fault. I shouldn't have turned 18 so soon. If I had waited a little longer, then the trip wouldn't have clashed with our wedding." I caught the tiny smirk tugging at her lips. "You're being ridiculous. You can't decide when you grow up. This happened because she picked the wrong date for her wedding. It's not because of you." Joshua snapped. He stared at me, irritation written all over his face. "You love sulking, right? Fine. Stay here and sulk." Joshua grabbed me and shoved me into the storage room next to the stairs. I started to panic and fumbled for the handle, but I heard the click of a lock from the other side before I could reach for it. He had locked the door. "Stay put," Joshua coldly said. "You can come out when you've had the time to think about your actions." "No, please let me out. I'm allergic to mangoes. I need my medication," I screamed. But Joshua's voice was already fading as he pushed Yvette out the main door. "I made a reservation at a seafood restaurant. It's almost time for our reservation, so we should leave soon," he said. "But Sophia? She'll be fine. A few hours in there will teach her a lesson," Joshua replied. "Yeah, she has such a bad temper. Locking her in there might be a good idea. I'll bring her some of her favorite shrimp later." "Come on, Joel," Dad said. "She'll be fine in there for a few hours." Instantly, terror surged through me. I pounded on the door with all my strength and screamed, "I'm not mad anymore. I'll apologize to Yvette. I'll do anything. Just let me out. I can't breathe. I'll die if I don't take my medication." My voice cracked into a shrill plea, but no one answered. I crumpled to the floor. The itching spread from my back to my face, and soon my throat began to close as well. Mom and Dad had seen me drink the mango juice. They knew I was allergic to it, but they forgot about me. They remembered Yvette's favorite seafood restaurant, but forgot that I had downed a glass of mango juice just 5 minutes ago. Desperation pushed me to my feet. I twisted the doorknob with all my might, but the door was locked from the outside and wouldn't budge. I frantically searched my pockets, but the phone I had been holding onto must have flown somewhere when Joshua had grabbed me. Soon the rash spread all over my body. My face had swollen up from the reaction, and I could barely see through my eyes. Not to mention, breathing became difficult too. If I couldn't escape, I would die in the storage room. As I searched for something to break the lock, I finally spotted my phone that had been tossed to the corner. Overjoyed, I picked it up with trembling hands. However, neither my parents, my brother, nor Joel answered my calls. Suddenly, a message from Joshua popped up on the screen. "Don't come to Aurora Bay with us. You'll make Yvette sad if you do." Tears spilled from the corners of my swollen eyes. I should have known better than to expect anything from them. In the end, I dialed for emergency services. Each second dragged on like a lifetime. My airway tightened, and breathing became a chore. I could barely hold on to direct the rescue team to my street. When the storage room door finally opened, everything was gone. When Sophia woke up again, the first thing she heard was someone crying. Anaphylactic shock caused by mango exposure. Severe airway swelling. If emergency services had arrived 10 minutes later, the patient would not have survived. The doctor's cold voice echoed through the hospital room. Then came Mom sobbing. "How could this happen? We only left her alone for a little while." Sophia slowly opened her eyes. The moment Joshua saw her awake, he rushed forward so quickly he nearly knocked over a chair. "Sophia." His face was pale. His eyes were bloodshot. For the first time in years, he looked genuinely terrified for her. But Sophia only stared at the white ceiling quietly. No emotion, no grievance, no anger, just emptiness. Joel immediately grabbed her hand tightly. "Soph, thank God you're okay. You scared us to death." She slowly pulled her hand away. That tiny motion froze the entire room, because Sophia had never pushed Joel away before. Ever. Dad stood stiffly near the window, his face ugly with guilt. "You should have told us it was this serious." Sophia almost laughed. "Told them?" She had screamed until her throat bled. Mom hurriedly wiped her tears. "Sweetheart," Mom already scolded Joshua. "He didn't mean it. He just lost his temper for a moment." A moment. Sophia finally spoke. Her voice was hoarse and weak, but every word landed heavily. "You locked me in a room while my throat was closing." Joshua's face instantly turned white. I thought you were exaggerating." Sophia looked at him calmly. "You always think I'm exaggerating." Silence swallowed the room whole. Even Yvette, standing quietly in the corner, looked uncomfortable for the first time. Sophia's gaze shifted toward her sister. Yvette still looked delicate and innocent in her soft pink dress, like a princess protected by the entire world. Meanwhile, Sophia had nearly died because of her. Yet somehow Sophia felt oddly calm. Maybe because once someone truly brushes against death, some things stop mattering. Yvette bit her lip softly. Sophia, I didn't know it would become this serious. Sophia nodded. I know. That answer stunned everyone again. No screaming. No crying. No accusations. Just quiet acceptance. And somehow that frightened them far more. Joel forced out a smile. Since you're awake now, let's stop talking about unpleasant things, okay? The doctor said you need rest. Sophia turned to him slowly. When were you planning to tell me? Joel froze. Tell you what? That you booked a couple suite in Aurora Bay. The room instantly fell silent. Yvette's expression changed slightly. Sophia had seen it earlier. While the paramedics carried her out of the storage room, her phone screen had still been lit up. A hotel confirmation notification. 1 king bed. 2 guests. Joel Graham and Yvette Norton. Joel's face drained of color. Soph, listen to me. I'm tired, Sophia interrupted softly. It doesn't matter anymore. That sentence hit harder than any hysterical breakdown ever could. Joel suddenly panicked. Because he realized Sophia genuinely meant it. She really did not care anymore. Not about the wedding. Not about him. Not about any of them. For some reason, that terrified him. Mom quickly changed the subject. Sweetheart, once you recover, we'll make it up to you, okay? We'll celebrate your birthday properly this year, too. Sophia looked at her quietly. You don't even remember when my birthday is. Mom's lips trembled. Because she couldn't answer. Sophia already knew why. Her birthday was the same day Yvette had first come to the Norton family. Ever since then, that date had become Yvette's adoption anniversary. Nobody celebrated Sophia anymore. Dad suddenly spoke stiffly. You're still part of this family. Don't keep acting like we mistreat you. Sophia looked at him for a very long time. Then she smiled faintly. You're right. Dad relaxed slightly. But the next second, she continued softly. You didn't mistreat me. You just never loved me. The room fell deathly quiet. Dad's face froze completely. Joshua clenched his fists. Joel looked like someone had punched him in the chest. Only Yvette lowered her eyes silently. Because she knew it was true. Sophia slowly pulled the 4 needle from her arm. Mom panicked immediately. Sophia, what are you doing? I'm leaving. You just woke up. I know. She climbed out of bed slowly despite the pain. This time, no one dared stop her forcefully. Maybe because seeing her nearly die had finally awakened a sliver of conscience in them. Or maybe because the look in her eyes frightened them. There was nothing left there anymore. No love. No hope. No attachment. Sophia returned home alone that night. Then she opened her laptop. A few days earlier, before the allergic reaction, she had already accepted an overseas job offer. Northern Europe. Permanent relocation. Far away. From everyone. At the time, she had still hesitated. Now she signed the contract without pause. The plane ticket was booked for 3 days later. One way. After finishing everything, Sophia quietly packed her belongings. She did not take much. Just a few clothes, her passport, and the stuffed rabbit her grandmother had given her before she died. Everything else in this house felt unnecessary. Around midnight, someone knocked on her bedroom door. Joel. He stood outside looking exhausted. Soph, can we talk? No. I already canceled the Aurora Bay trip. Sophia folded another shirt calmly. That's your business. Joel's throat tightened. He had never seen her like this before. Sophia used to cry whenever he ignored her. Used to cling desperately to every tiny bit of affection he offered. But now she looked at him the same way she looked at furniture. And somehow that hurt far more than hatred. Joel stepped closer. I know I messed up. Sophia finally looked at him. You chose my sister over me. Joel immediately denied it. No, I didn't. Sophia tilted her head slightly. Then if I had died in that storage room, who would you have comforted first? Joel froze. And that silence became the answer. Sophia smiled faintly. I'm tired, Joel. Not angry. Not heartbroken. Just tired. Joel suddenly felt panic crawl into his chest. Because he realized something horrifying. Sophia was really leaving him behind. And this time, she would never come back. 3 days later, Sophia left the country before sunrise. No dramatic farewell. No tears. She simply dragged her suitcase through the airport alone and boarded her flight to Northern Europe. Only after the plane took off did the Norton family discover the letter she had left behind on the dining table. It was very short. Thank you for raising me. From now on, you can love Yvette properly without worrying about me anymore. I won't come back. Sophia. Mom broke down crying before she even finished reading it. Dad sat silently on the couch for an entire night, suddenly realizing he couldn't remember the last time he had ever praised his eldest daughter. Joshua frantically called Sophia hundreds of times, but every call failed. For the first time in his life, he understood what it felt like to be ignored by someone he loved. Joel went completely silent after learning Sophia had canceled the marriage registration herself before leaving the country. A month later, he drunkenly showed up at the Norton house asking if Sophia had contacted anyone. She hadn't. Not once. As for Yvette, without Sophia around anymore, the family slowly began noticing things they had ignored for years. The tears that came too quickly. The innocent words that always caused conflict. The way she quietly enjoyed watching Sophia get blamed. But by then it was too late, because the person they sacrificed over and over again had already stopped caring. Half a year later, Sophia stood beneath the northern lights alone. Green and silver light rippled across the endless sky. Cold wind brushed against her cheeks as she quietly looked upward. No one was yelling at her. No one was comparing her to Yvette. No one was asking her to sacrifice herself anymore. For the first time in her life, Sophia finally understood something. Peace felt much warmer than love that had to be begged for. Far away in another country, her phone vibrated endlessly with unread messages. But Sophia simply silenced it, lifted her camera, and smiled softly beneath the aurora. Then she walked forward, without ever looking back.